All right, so today in the federal courts of Washington, D.C., the Cherokee Nation was dealt a huge blow in their fight against the freedmen. Now, for those of you that don't know, freedmen are the descendants of slaves and free black people that were living on Cherokee land in 1866. And in 2007, the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma, so this is a western band of Cherokee, by the way, OCO, for those of you in Cherokee Nation, they voted to, I guess that I'm used to saying disenroll. So they chose to disenroll or to take the citizenship of 3,000 descendants of free blacks and former slaves of Cherokee Nation members and take away their citizenship. Now we were fooling. Nope, you didn't read the treaties well enough. You didn't read the treaties word for word, and we're voting to revoke your citizenship. Those freedmen took the Cherokee Nation to court. I'm Comanche, so I keep wanting to say Comanche, but this is Cherokee we're talking about, not my tribe, Cherokee tribe. And so those freedmen sued. Now, to go back and just do a little bit of history on the Cherokee belonged to the 5 civilized tribes. And the five civilized tribes were in the southern region of America. They were see if I can remember, the Choctaws, the Creek, the Seminole, the Chickasaws, and the Cherokee. And the reason why they were considered civilized tribes was because they were assimilating into white culture. They owned land, they owned property, they were dressing as white people, they had converted to Christianity. So they were assimilating into white culture. And one of the things that they were assimilated into is the farming styles of the whites, which included slaves. So they were purchasing slaves. And John Ross was one of the biggest slave holders in the Cherokee Nation. And John Ross took the federal government to court when they were trying to remove the 5 civilized tribes out into Oklahoma. And he won. He took it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. And he won the ruling that they had the right to their land and their property and able to stay there. And President Andrew Jackson said, good luck enforcing the judgment. You got a judgment in your favor. Good luck enforcing it. I have the military, and you're going to be escorted off of your property. With those tribes going on what is now called the Trail of Tears were also their slaves. That's something they don't talk about a lot. In fact, I even had a Cherokee person, Eastern Band Cherokee person, and maybe they were talking about the Eastern Band, actually tried to tell me that there weren't Native Americans fighting for the Confederacy, and that there weren't any Native Americans that owned slaves, when there is so much evidence that they did. And this person claimed to know their history, which is really scary because they obviously didn't. Now, the Eastern Band Cherokee in North Carolina, they didn't go to Oklahoma. They resisted. They stayed. And so the Oklahoma the Cherokee band has broken up into different bands. Those bands were even more divided during the Civil War. Now, during the Civil War, the 5 civilized tribes broke up. The Choctaw and the Chickasaws were solidly Confederate. The Creek and the Seminole were solidly Union. The Cherokee had internal strife as to which side they were going to go to. And the majority went with Stan Waddy, their chief, one of their chiefs, into the Confederacy. And Stan Waddy actually became a Confederate general. He's actually winning a lot of battles too. and a minority of the tribe went to the Union. So anyway, in 1866, the reason why it took so long to free the slaves of the 5 civilized tribes, or especially the Chickasaw, Cherokee, and Choctaws, is because these are sovereign nations within the United States. They fall under the executive branch of government, the federal government. And being a sovereign nation, Abraham Lincoln, President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, had no influence at all under these sovereign nations that are the different Indian tribes. So in 1866, there's a treaty that is signed, and one day all of the enslaved people that belonged to Cherokees and Choctaws and Chickasaws were all free. They woke up one morning, had breakfast, and their master said, "You're free. Go pick out a tract of land, go farm it, have a happy life. You have the same rights and privileges as a Cherokee. You're entitled to land. You know, go have a happy life, go live in peace." Some of them, there wasn't a Jim Crow era or a Klan version of any of the freed Indian tribes. It was just one day you were free and you're equal with the same rights and privileges we have. So you can enter into public office, you can be law enforcement, you can vote, you can, you know, be outlaws if you want. I mean, they were equal. It was just one day, okay, you're free, good. And so that's the treaty that the freedmen are citing in their argument, is the Treaty of 1866. The Cherokee Nation, from what I read, is citing the Act of April 26, 1906, which is another treaty which supersedes the 1806 treaty, makes it null and void. And what that treaty says is that as of December 1st, 1905, no person shall be enrolled as a citizen. No person shall be enrolled as a citizen or a freedman. Freedmen is what they call the former slaves. So they're differentiating whether or not someone could be enrolled as a freed citizen or a freedman of the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Cherokee, Creek, or Seminole nations. So they're differentiating, and this is very important because it's coming down as to whether or not these treaties spelled out the freedmen as citizens of the nation. In Section 3 of the Act of April 26, 1906, it states, Cherokee freedmen shall include only such persons as African descent, either free colored, remember I said free black people living on the Cherokee Nation land. So Cherokee freedmen shall include only such persons as African descent, either free colored or slaves of Cherokee citizens and their descendants, who were actually personally bona fide residents of the Cherokee Nation. So residents of the Cherokee Nation, not citizens, residents of the Cherokee Nation, August 11, 1866, or who returned and established residence in the Cherokee Nation on or before February 11, 1867. So in 1906, they're not taking new freedmen or new enrollments as citizens. The only way that I know that you can be enrolled as a citizen in any Native American tribe today is you have to prove blood quantum. You have to have a relative. You have to say, I am a descendant of this person in this tribe, which makes my blood quantum an eighth, a quarter, whatever. And different tribes have different laws or rules as to how much blood quantum you need to be a citizen of that tribe. And August 22nd, 2007, the Cherokee Nation voted to decide who they were going to allow citizenship to, and decided that these freedmen did not qualify for citizenship in the tribe, and so they kicked those 3,000 people off of the citizenship. And Diane Hammonds, the Attorney General for the Cherokee Nation, her argument is, if you look at both the 1866 treaty and the 1906 treaty, that nowhere in those treaties does it spell out that freedmen were actually citizens of the Cherokee Nation, only that they had the same rights and privileges. What the difference is, I don't know. Maybe it means that they can't vote in, tribal council, vote for the chiefs. But what they're trying to argue is that a tribe in its sovereignty should have the ability to determine what the rules are to be a citizen of their tribe. So they're arguing that this violates their sovereignty. And they're pointing to the Dawes Rolls, telling the freedmen if they want citizenship in the tribe, that they need to find a relative on the Dawes Rolls. The freedmen are arguing about the Dawes Rolls, that when the government went around registering Cherokees on the Dawes Rolls, that they looked at the person they were registering and they didn't ask them if they had Cherokee blood. They looked at the person and wrote down whether they were Black or Cherokee on the roll. So they're saying that there's not a definitive way to prove blood relation, because no one was ever asked what their blood relation was to members in the Cherokee Nation when they were signing up for the Dawes Rolls. And so that's their argument. I'm not really sure who's right in this. So I'm presenting the facts. Comment, let me know what you think. I probably do plan to get a lot of hate from those Native American people who want to deny that there were slaves held by tribes and that there were Indian nations that fought for the Confederacy, but it's documented, well-known history. So, you can't refute that. But let me know in the comments what you think. I normally don't do videos on nights that I work because I'm really tired. But this is big news in Indian country, because this could also open up other lawsuits to those civilized tribes. And there were not tribes that were innocent in the slave trade. I'm Comanche. We trafficked humans to the Mexicans. So, not every tribe has clean hands. And Claude Anderson is an activist who is trying to get reparations from Native American tribes, because by having citizenship in tribes, you are tax exempt, you get free tuition into college, they're fighting for their 160 acres of land. You can have a casino. So, they want those reparations too. And he's actually calling it reparations from Native tribes. So I'm not sure if he's going after just the 5 civilized tribes, or if he's trying to go after every tribe. But I think that this opens up other tribes to lawsuits. And if I know the Cherokee Nation, they will take this all the way up to the Supreme Court. Whether the Supreme Court will hear it or not is another story. But please, again, let me know what you think. I don't have a position in this. I think if people are living thinking that they're citizens of a nation, you should not rip citizenship from them. But, I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but I think if you have lived your entire life believing that you are a citizen of a nation, I just don't think it should be ripped away from you. But I'm not a member of the Comanche, or I'm sorry, I'm not a member of the Cherokee Nation. So again, comment. Have a good night.